Hello, and welcome to Boss Raid. A while ago, I reviewed a somewhat lesser talked about game for the Game Boy Color, Inspector Gadget Operation Mad Cactus. So I was a little surprised when I found another Inspector Gadget game in my collection, Inspector Gadget Advanced Mission. As you may have already figured out, this one's for the Game Boy Advance, released almost a year after Operation Mad Cactus. Now if you're familiar with Mad Cactus at all, you might notice some of the similarities right away. The character sprites look and control very similarly to the first game. As in the first game, you can switch between Gadget, Penny, and Brain on the fly, a mechanic that Rockstar would later blatantly and shamelessly rip off from this game for GTA 5. Unlike the last game, switching characters is now an instant process that requires only the press of a button. It's a one-way process though, so you have to cycle from Gadget to Penny to Brain, then back to Gadget, and so on. In the last game, Penny and Brain had a much weaker attack and lower health than Gadget did, which isn't the case here. Everyone deals and receives the same amount of damage, and they also share a life bar which can be replenished by finding heart pickups throughout each level. Just like last time, Brain is the fastest and can double jump. Penny is the only one who can swim underwater, and Gadget, well, he's still the same old Gadget. This time around, however, each character has a special ability they can use. Brain's penguin suit is no longer restricted to an idle animation. He can now wear the suit and walk past enemies without consequence while wearing it. You can only wear the suit for about 14 seconds though, then you have to take it off and wait for a cooldown period before you can put it on again, just like in real life. Penny can now hack into and control certain robotic enemies. Thankfully, the stupid RNG hacking minigame from the first game is gone. And Gadget, using the explosive skills he acquired during the Mad Cactus operation, can drop dynamite, provided he's found some. Dynamite has a large area of effect, violently killing all enemies near the explosion. Gadget can also find power-ups that allow him to shoot plungers, which can be helpful. The goal of each level is to find and destroy the Mad Machine hidden within, a device making people go mad via mind control. The levels are much bigger and arguably better designed than in the first game. There are several offshoot areas to explore in each level, usually containing collectibles. There are collectibles everywhere from coins to level-specific pickups that give points. You collect enough of these points and you get a 1-up at the end of the level. 1-ups can also be found as pickups within the levels. Many enemies from Mad Cactus make their return in Advanced Mission. Their sprites look like they were ripped directly from the first game, maybe with a bit of added detail or slightly improved colors. The AI is just stupid. Enemies move along a set path and will only attack when you're in their line of sight. So if you can sneak up on an enemy, you can attack them without worrying about retaliation, as long as you can kill them before they turn around. The graphics are okay, but there's really nothing amazing here. The first two worlds are just palette swaps of each other. In fact, all the worlds are really just palette swaps and slightly altered pieces. The platforming isn't very fun or challenging, and what little variety there is just doesn't do much to make up for it. And some of it is just downright bad. There are some blind jumps here and there, and oftentimes it looks like the devs just decided to drop in like 20 enemies on a single platform. I guess it's to force you to have to use Brain's penguin suit. I'm sorry, I just don't think this is good game design. I also don't care much for these gadget coat sections. Does this look fun to you? 'Cause it's not. As I was playing, I mostly stuck to using Brain for his superior mobility. However, his attack has a much shorter reach than Gadget's, but I still prefer using him to Gadget, whose default attack is several frames longer, making you lose any reach advantage, especially when the enemy is walking towards you. So to get an attack with Brain, you have to move in a little closer than you normally would because he has a shorter reach. The problem here is that everyone slides slightly after you have stopped moving. It's not super noticeable or overall hindering, but it was something that I had to deal with. I will say that the hitboxes weren't terrible. The bosses are also laughably easy. World 2 doesn't even have a boss. What the hell? And then there are these sledding levels. They're incredibly easy, you can't die, they take only a few seconds to complete. The only thing you can do is collect points in these levels. It's like they originally intended to have 3 complete levels for each of the 4 worlds, but were too lazy and just whipped up a couple of these lame bonus stages instead. The World 2 boss must have met a similar fate. And now I have to talk about the music. If you could even call it that. It is just flipping awful. I wonder if the person who made it has ever heard real music before, because this definitely is not that. As much as it pains me, I'm going to play a few seconds of it. No, I'm not trying to torture you, it's just so bad that you need to hear it to believe it. Okay, sorry, but do you see what I mean? Each world has its own music that plays over all 3 levels, and it's all terrible. It's so bad that by the time you get to the next world and you hear the start of a new song, you actually think that it's good just because your ears aren't being subjected to the previous song anymore. And this experience lasts about 10 seconds until you realize that the new song is just as atrocious as the last. This is complemented by completely lackluster sound effects. Imagine getting killed by an extremely dumb AI enemy whose attacks sound like this. Interestingly, levels 4.1 and 4.2 were something of an exception. The music, while still too short a loop, was slightly better, almost listenable. The platforming and stage design were better as well, almost having a semblance of fun. However, by this point, it was too little, too late. I also ran into some glitches that were almost more fun than playing the actual game. Like here, where I died while controlling a robotic dog using Penny's ability. When I respawned at the checkpoint, the camera was locked in place and I had to restart the level. And this other time, I died while using Gadget's helicopter, and the sound kept playing after I respawned. At least it's drowning out the music a little bit, I guess. I also got kind of stuck in this level for a while, and I ended up just glitching my way out, so that's a thing. Oh, and the mad cacti are back as well, so I guess everything we did in the last game was for nothing? And if you somehow manage to get through this game until you get to the very end, you will be treated with this shortcut scene, and no credits, just a return to the title screen. Which I guess is also what they did in the first game, but at least that game was enjoyable. So yeah, I really wanted to like this game. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I tried, I gave it a fair chance, I played all the way through. While I didn't think Mad Cactus was anything special itself, I generally enjoyed that game and thought it had its own bit of charm. Sadly, I can't say that about Advanced Mission. It's a below-average platformer, it has no memorable moments. Personally, I think they should have focused more on the character switching aspect. It's a good idea, but I found little reason to use it, other than forced areas where you just had to, for example, swap to Penny to do this one-time thing and then never swap back to her ever again. I honestly just stayed brain so I could get through the game as fast as possible. I think some interesting puzzles could have been made with this mechanic in mind, but alas. It's not an awful game, there are definitely worse games out there, but unfortunately I can't recommend this one. Even if you're some kind of Inspector Gadget fanatic, your time would be much better spent playing Operation Mad Cactus and just leaving this one on the shelf. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on Boss Raid.